Happy Sunday morning, boys and girls. It's your old pal, Andy France, the Grand Poobah of Judson Sunday School, inviting you to make a joyful noise. Welcome back to another episode of Virtual Judson Sunday School. Did that video have a familiar ring to it? No pun intended. Maybe not that neighborhood. That's my neighborhood, the East 80s and 3rd Avenue here in Manhattan. But like neighborhoods all over New York City, perhaps yours as well, every evening around 7 o'clock is when we all come together to, in the words of the old psalmist, Psalm 100 in this case, make a joyful noise, all ye lands. It's when we all express our gratitude to the doctors and the nurses and the healthcare professionals and the ambulance drivers and all those who are taking such good care of us and those we love during these difficult days. I have been thinking about the word joy a lot this week. I'm not sure why. It might be because of that 7 o'clock ritual, or it might be just the look on Jude's face in last week's video. It's raining toilet paper. That was so joyful. Joy it's not a word we use every day. We tend to go with happy. For some reason, we save joy for church, like high church, formal church. Joyful, joyful, we adore thee. Or even low church, more campy. I've got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Hey! Or else we drag the word out at Christmas time along with all our ornaments. Joy to the world and all that jazz. The rest of the year, we're content to go with happy. Joy and happy have a lot in common. Both are emotions, like we talked about last week with those leftover Easter eggs with the goofy faces on them. Happiness means a state of well-being and contentment, delighted, pleased, or glad about something. And joy has a similar definition. It means great delight or happiness caused by something good. And yet there are differences. Happiness seems to be more of a surface emotion, maybe more momentary. Joy seems to come from somewhere deeper, like, I don't know, your heart or your soul. I'll give you an example. Eating ice cream makes me very happy. But eating ice cream outside in the sun with someone I love, that brings me more a sense of joy. Here's another one. I bet your parents would tell you that riding a bicycle makes them happy, but watching you learn to ride your bike, that brings them great joy. There's something else about joy that might be a bit different from happiness. Remember the episode a few weeks ago, our April Fool's Day joke episode, and that guy we talked about, Mark Twain? He was the guy that said, let me see if I get this right, the best way to cheer yourself up is to cheer someone else up. Well, Mark Twain had something to say about joy as well. He said, to get the value of joy, you must have someone to divide it with. Meaning, joy is something to be shared. We receive the most joy when we give joy to others. Now, it's not easy being joyful in these days of quarantine and isolation, but tonight, around 7 o'clock, stick your head out the window and listen to everybody banging those pots and pans, honking horns, blowing whistles, and just shouting. We don't call that a joyful noise because it's so beautiful or melodic. We call that making a joyful noise because of where it comes from. Deep in the heart of a grateful city, just trying to give something back. Well, you remember me telling you in that same joke episode a few weeks ago that Judson pays me $1.25 every time I mention the word God? It's true. And so it's time for me, boys and girls, to shake my moneymaker and perhaps give you another resource in your search for joy this week. Last week, I mentioned the word gospel, which means good news. And there are 4 gospels or books of the good news of Jesus in the New Testament half of the Bible. Sebastian, what are the names of the 4 gospels? I know you know this. Let's give him a minute. You need some help? All right. John, Paul, George, and Ringo. Wait, no, that's the Beatles. The names of the 4 Gospels are Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. So in the Gospel of Luke, Jesus uses the word joy over and over and over again in describing God. Jesus would tell these stories or parables in which he compared God to a shepherd who had lost a sheep, or an old woman who had lost one of her silver coins. The shepherd would scour the countryside looking for his lost sheep, and the old woman would turn her house upside down searching for that missing silver coin. And when they found them, the shepherd and the old woman would call all their neighbors and their friends and say, "Let's rejoice," which is another word for show great joy or celebrate, because they had found what they had lost. Now, the point Jesus was trying to make in these joy stories or joy parables wasn't that God is old, forgetful, and can't remember where she last put her glasses. Ooh, they were on the top of my head the whole time. No, the point Jesus is trying to make is that there is joy whenever God and human beings are reunited. Ooh, reunited. Reunited and it feels so good. Reunited 'cause we understood. There's one perfect fit, and sugar, this one is it. We both get so excited 'cause we're reunited. Hey, hey. Ugh, just had a flashback. 1978, Peaches and Herb, or as they were known around here, Peaches and Hoib. So, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, joy stories. One of the most famous of Jesus' joy stories is known as the parable of the Prodigal Son. Prodigal is another word for reckless or wasteful. In this story, Jesus compares God to a father who has 2 sons. I thought I would wrap up our lesson this morning by telling you the story of the prodigal son, although I've updated it just a smidgen. Pay close attention, because when I finish, I'm going to ask you, where is the joy found in the story of the prodigal son? So this is called New York City and the Prodigal Son. There once was a man who had 2 sons. They lived way upstate where they owned a great big farm. They raised corn and wheat and potatoes and tomatoes and green beans and black-eyed peas and watermelons and apples and cherries and carrots and rutabagas. Whatever a rutabaga is, I really don't know. They also had horses and sheep and cows and pigs and all the things that a great big farm has. And they employed just about everyone in the surrounding community to work his farm hands, to take care of all that corn and wheat and horses and pigs and carrots and rutabagas. Well, one day the younger son came to his father and said, "Dad, you know the money I'm supposed to inherit when you die? Well, I was thinking, what happens if you live a long time? I don't want to wait until I'm old and gray to enjoy my life. I want to have fun now. How about an advance?" And so his dad went to the bank and withdrew the money he had saved for his younger son, came home and gave it to him. And a few days later, the boy said goodbye to his family, to the farm, and caught a Greyhound bus for New York City. Ah, New York City. If you're looking for fun and you got a little money, you can have a great time. Ditching his farm clothes for something a bit more designer, the boy soon hit the town. From Times Square to Chelsea, from Harlem to the Lower East Side, from Bushwick, Brooklyn, all the way to right here in Greenwich Village. Every night, a different party. House music pumping, bump, 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 dancing until dawn. And the boy was very popular because he liked to spread his money around. Every night, the drinks were on him. Well, there's an old Robert Earl Keen song your parents might know that says, "The road goes on forever and the party never ends." Sadly, that's not true. One morning, well, actually it was more about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, the boy woke up to find that he had run out of money, and it all went downhill from there. Without any dough, the party life was over. All those friends he thought he had, they disappeared. He had no job. He couldn't afford his share of the rent anymore, and soon his roommates kicked him out. And before he knew it, he found himself living on the streets. Well, months and months and months went by. You may have seen him from time to time, sleeping on the A train, panhandling for spare change outside an ATM, dragging an old shopping cart around from street to street, filling it up with plastic bottles and aluminum cans, hoping to redeem them for spare change. Or worse still, digging through trash cans, hoping to find a bit of food to eat, maybe some leftover pizza crust, or perhaps a chicken leg with a bit of meat still left on the bone. One day the boy caught sight of his reflection in a storefront window, and he hardly recognized himself. His hair was long and greasy. He was covered in dirt and grime from head to foot. His designer clothes were now mere rags, and even they didn't fit. He'd lost so much weight. The boy said to himself, "Is this what I've become?" And he remembered his life back on the farm, upstate, and how everyone, from family to farmhands, always had plenty to eat and a place to sleep. The boy resolved right then and there to go back home and apologize to his father, to say to him, "Dad, I'm sorry. I've embarrassed you and I've embarrassed myself. I wasted all your money and I've wasted so much of my life. If you could somehow find it in your heart to forgive me, I know I'm no longer worthy to be called your son, but maybe you'd be willing to hire me on as a farmhand." And so the boy cleaned himself up the best he could, collected enough spare change to buy a bus ticket back upstate, and headed for home. Now, it just so happens the family farmhouse sits up on a huge hill looking down, and the house has a great big wraparound porch, which is where the boy's father would sit every evening after work and just stare down the long, long road, hoping for some sign, any sign of his youngest son. The day finally came when, way off in the distance, what appeared to be his son, he saw what appeared to be his son, dirty and skinny, dressed in nothing much more than rags, walking up the long road toward the farm. Could it really be him? Well, the boy's father didn't wait to find out. He jumped up off of that porch and went running down the road toward the boy. The boy saw his father coming toward him, and he fell on his knees. With tears in his eyes, he began his speech. "Dad, I'm sorry. I've embarrassed you, and I've embarrassed myself. I wasted all your money, but that was as far as he got." His father was picking him up, squeezing him, giving him big hugs, and kissing him all over his face. The boy tried to speak again. "Dad, I'm not worthy to be called your son. Would you be willing to hire me?" But the dad wouldn't hear of it. He started shouting to the various family members and farmhands who by now had gathered around them, saying, "Let's clean this boy up, wash his hair, put some fresh clothes on him. Go get that family ring that we keep and put it on his finger. Let's have some barbecue and some of that sweet corn we grow around here, and potatoes and tomatoes, and let's get some fresh green beans and even some rutabagas. Somebody make up a batch of biscuits and get some of that homemade blackberry jam down. It's time for a feast." And they began to party. Well, that's not the end of the story. For you see, one family member who hadn't gathered with all the others was the father's other son, the prodigal son's older brother, who was still off working in the fields. Seeing all the lights on and hearing music coming from the farmhouse, the older son sidled up to one of the farmhands and asked, "What's going on? What's all the commotion about?" And the farmhand said, "Your brother's come home, and your father's throwing a party." Well, on hearing that, the older brother got mad and went back out into the fields. After a while, his father noticed that he wasn't at the celebration, and so he went outside to look for him. Once found, the father said, "What are you doing out here? Your brother's come home. We're having a party. Come inside and join us." But the older son refused, saying, "Are you crazy? Throwing that jackass a party? We haven't heard hide nor hair of him for months and months on end. He wasted all your money on God knows what. His whole life has been a party. Meanwhile, where have I been? Right here, that's where, working like a dog. I've never asked you for one thing, and I've never embarrassed you either. Where's my party?" And the father said to his son, "You're absolutely right. Every word you said is true. You've always been there for me, and everything I own will one day be yours. But son, today, let's rejoice. Let's celebrate. For your brother who was dead is alive again. He was lost, and now he's found." So that's the story of the prodigal son, boys and girls, updated just a little bit. So let me ask you this question. Where in this story is the joy? Is it in the older brother? Certainly not. He was too angry and bitter and resentful. How about in the prodigal son? Was joy found in the prodigal son? Perhaps. I personally think he was probably a little too exhausted to be very joyful right then. Maybe after he got some rest, maybe a few days of sleep. No. The joy in this story is found in the Father, the character Jesus used to symbolize God. And that's a radical idea, boys and girls. For in this world today, where people like to depict God as angry and vengeful, Jesus is saying to us that if we're looking for joy, it can be found in the presence of God. Just a little something for us to think about this week as we look for joy wherever we can find it. Well, boys and girls, I got the word this week that it looks like we're going to be doing Kids Day virtually, which means we're going to have to keep this going through June, which means that I'm going to be coming back to you in the next weeks asking for you to help me with some more videos that we will put into the service of you singing and reading and playing the piano or whatever we might be doing for preludes. You know how we do in the past, where some of you play the piano at the beginning of the service, and how we all come together and sing at least one or two songs, which I will be in touch with you in the next few weeks to give you more information. That means I'm going to need you to learn this song the best you can, even more than normal, because you won't be standing up here, hiding behind a taller kid. You'll be on video, maybe singing a line or two of it. We'll see how it goes. We're going to figure this all out in the next weeks. So anyway, today, let's get on with our practice of Manhattan. You know the song. We will start from the beginning and just run the whole thing. Are you ready? Here we go. And I will start licking the fingers. I should get royalties from Kentucky Fried Chicken or something. Here we go. Summer journeys to Niagara and to other places aggravate all our cares. Turn the page, picture kids. We'll save our fares. I've a cozy little flat in what is known as Old Manhattan. We'll settle down, turn the page, right here in town. We'll have Manhattan, the Bronx and Staten Island too. Turn the page. It's lovely going through the zoo. Bum, ba, da, 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 dum, bum. It's very fancy on old Delancey Street, you know. The subway charms us so when balmy breezes blow to and fro. And tell me what street, turn the page, compares with Mott Street in July. Sweet push carts gently gliding by. The great big city's a wondrous toy, just made for a girl and boy. We'll turn Manhattan into an Isle of Joy. Let's turn the page and do our verse, which goes back to that first sound. Boop, bop, 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 bum. Now it's early Sunday morning, everyone's asleep and snoring, except me and you. What shall we do? Claude's patisserie is calling, their croissants are our downfalling. But what if your goal is food for your soul? Turn the page. We'll go to Judson and have some fun in Sunday school. It's where the golden rule is cool. 1, 2, 3, sing. We'll read some stories. They're kinda gory, like Sodom and Gomorrah. Turn the page, with lots more blood in store, like Samson or even Noah. Ask Russell Crowe. Turn the page. We'll buy a llama for someone's mama, and then we'll smile as we race baby Moseses down the Nile. Big finish. Through all these lessons we hope to see just who God might have us be. We'll go to Judson, our Sunday family. Thank you, boys and girls. Well, boys and girls, today's story doesn't have anything to do with joy or doesn't have anything to do with the prodigal son. But the reason I picked it is because, well, I guess it does have something to do with joy. It makes me feel very joyful when I read this book, and I think you're going to love it. It's called Be Quiet, and I'm going to get rid of the cover so that I can show you the beautiful picture right here. This book is about 3 mice. A mouse named Rupert, who has decided to create a wordless book, a picture book. and his two friends, Thistle and Nibs, who, let's just say, are giving him a hard time. So this is Be Quiet, and we'll start right now. Here's Rupert. Finally, I get my very own book to star in. This is going to be great. I'm going to make it a wordless book. They are very artistic. This book will have no words at all, starting now. And you have a goose in an airplane pulling a sign. Rupert the Mouse presents Be Quiet by Ryan T. Higgins. Humph. Okay, starting now. Hi, Rupert. What are you? Shh! Be quiet. This book does not have words. Wow, a wordless book. Can I help? Oops, I'm talking. Eep, I'm talking about talking. Stop. The book already started. You're messing it up. Please let me stay in the book. I promise to be quiet. I'll be extra wordless. Please. I said be quiet. This book is wordless. Hey guys, what's with all the shouting? Hi, Thistle. We're making a wordless book, but I promised to be quiet, so I can't tell you about it. A wordless book? I love those. They're very artistic. Can I be in it? Yes, but we won't tell Rupert since we're not supposed to be talking. I told you to be quiet. You're putting too many words in the book. Yay, this book is going to be so fun. Quiet, you. This book will be more than fun. It will be visually stimulating. What does visually strigulating mean? I think it means we're going to poke our readers in the eyeballs with pictures. That's not what it means. It means we need to have strong illustrations. Like this? Like we're helping. No, you're not. Be quiet. This book is wordless. Rupert is right, Nibs. What this book needs is some strong but silent types. Strong but silent? What about him? He's strong. He's silent. Every book needs a bear in it. I don't know. He looks grumpy. What about something cuter? What about a kitten? Kittens are super cute and friendly. Whoa, look at its cute little nose and whiskers. And its big, beautiful eyes and shiny teeth. Nibs, I think it's getting a little too friendly. Quick, think of something vegetarian. A cucumber. We'll just draw a smile on it and add some googly eyes. And there, a vegetarian. Nibs, what exactly do you think a vegetarian is? Stop filling my brilliant piece of wordless literature with nonsense. And stop talking. You're not taking this seriously. Is this more serious? What are you supposed to be? A president? No, I'm Vincent Van Mouse. Ugh. I don't think everyone will get that. Can you try something a little simpler? We're simple. We're potatoes. Stop talking and stop changing the pictures around. I don't even like potatoes. Rupert is right. No more artistic stuff. Wordless books need action. We should have a silent superhero instead. We'll call him Captain Quiet, and he could fight words. Captain Quiet, vocabulary vigilante. I don't know if you can see his belt, but it says, shh. Pow, blam, kaboom. No, no, no. No superheroes, and no onomatopoeia either. I think Rupert just said, I'm a-gonna-pia. What do you think that means? I think it means he should have gone to the bathroom before the book started. What about mimes? Mimes are extra quiet. Guess what I'm miming? Let's see. Is it a cheese sandwich that thinks it's a hummingbird with a lettuce sweater? Don't you know what be quiet means? It means don't make a sound. Right. It's like that saying about a tree falling in the woods. How's it go? Nibs, can you help? I'm on it. See if I can turn the page. It goes something like, if a tree falls on someone who isn't listening in the woods, no, that's not right. Brun, 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 brun. Timber! Ah! Did the tree make a sound? Well, it was hard to tell with all of Rupert's shouting. Should we try again? Enough! I have had it. All you two do is talk, talk, talk. I can't stand it. Can't you be quiet for just one page? I try to do one thing, make a wordless book, and you two have to go and ruin it. You have filled this book with words. No one is going to want to read a wordless book that is filled with words. Why can't you do a simple thing like not say anything? Is it that hard? I'm quiet. I'm not saying anything. But no, you two just keep talking and 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 psst. What? Shh. Be quiet. This book does not have words. The end. I thought the book turned out okay. I hope we get to do another one soon. Honk. Be quiet. Well, I want to thank you, boys and girls, for showing up virtually yet again. I hope that you are able this week to find a bit of joy somewhere in your life, somewhere in your apartment, somewhere in your walks in your neighborhood, if you're able to do that. I also want to thank, in addition to your being with me, I want to be sure and thank Andre and Michelle for all their help putting this together. We wouldn't be watching this without them. So thank you to both of them. It's time for our closing song, Be Not So Fearful by Bill Fay, English songwriter. I say this every week, that he wrote the first verse. I stuck a couple extra verses on there. I know some of you parents have been looking for these lyrics online. You can find the first verse online. He does a second verse that's different, and he only has 2 verses, I think, on these songs. So, but we're only doing his first verse. The other 2 verses are mine. Sorry about that, with apologies to Bill Fay. So it's be not so fearful, be not so frail, weak, or delicate. There's someone watching you. She will not let you fail. And then we sing, be not so fearful, be not so frail. In the next 2 verses, I will shout them out. All right? Let's do it. You ready? Here we go. Be not so fearful, be not so frail. There's someone watching you, she will not let you fail. Be not so fearful, be not so frail. Be not so fearful, be not so frail. Our next verse is be not so nervous in these perilous times. Someone may look to you in search of the divine. Here we go. Be not so nervous in these perilous times. Someone may look to you in search of the divine. Be not so nervous in these times. Be not so nervous in these times. Third verse is be of good courage, you will prevail. The wind is quiet now, but soon will fill your sails. Be of good courage, you will prevail. The wind is quiet now, but soon will fill your sails. Be of good courage, you will prevail. Be of good courage, you will prevail. Let's do the first verse again, all right? Be not so fearful. And here we go. Be not so fearful. Be not so frail. There's someone watching you. She will not let you fail. Be not so fearful. Be not so frail. Be not so fearful. Be not so frail. One last time. Be not so fearful. Be not so frail. Thank you so much for singing and listening and being with me this week. I'll see you next time on Virtual Judson Sunday School. Bye.